What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so today starts the beginning of the 10-part docu-series, The Last Dance, 30 for 30, the 30 for 30 series. The Last Dance starting today, and it'll be a 10-part series. Of course, it's been heavily anticipated, heavily marketed by ESPN, and of course, it's been pushed up from when it was supposed to have started back in June around the time of the end of the NBA season, but because of the circumstances that are going on right now, it's been pushed up to April 19th, which is today. Now, um, one of the things that have been brought up about this series, and shout out to anybody and everybody at LDBC has talked about this already, is that Michael Jordan is concerned a little bit about his image. Okay, he's a little bit concerned about how he's going to be perceived by people today and his actions 20 years ago. And my thing is, those people who are in the know, people that understand why Michael Jordan is the way that he is and the way that he was when he was playing, while there's going to be some new shit that we're going to find out, but all in all, most of us who are Chicago Bulls fans or Michael Jordan fans or privy to how the NBA was back in the 90s, we're not really going to be too surprised if you've heard about Michael Jordan, the type of person that he was, the almost psychotic competitor that he was. We're not going to be that surprised about it. You know what I'm saying? Um, but what he could possibly be concerned about are a couple things. Number one, this is 2020. This isn't 2003 when he last played, or 1998, the year of the championship team. This is a different era. This is a emasculated, moist, feminine, um, fake outrage, you know, era. This is the era of identity politics, and this is the era of the alphabet mafia. So I can understand him being concerned about some shit. For instance, I remember, I think it was Jordan's second year with the Wizards, it came out. But Jordan, just before he stepped down from the front office, he drafted Kwame Brown, the number one overall pick at that time. And it got out that Jordan, now this is before really social media had kicked off like that. Although you did have those little threads that people would communicate with and shit, right? The little websites that people could talk about shit. But all these big name social medias, that was years away from existence. But I remember it came out that he called Kwame Brown a flaming faggot, right? Not because he was a homosexual, but just because of the way he was playing, soft. And if that had been today, that would have went way different. Like when I heard it, we all laughed. Like, damn, you know, because we knew what it meant in context. It wasn't that he was calling him a homosexual. It meant that he was playing soft as shit. But in today's highly sensitive world, Jordan would have to be, first of all, Jordan would be suspended. Then he would have to take some type of sensitivity training. He would have to pay a fine, and he would have to apologize 58 times. You know what I'm saying? Make a tour, an apology tour. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to go on Ellen DeGeneres and apologize to the most powerful homosexual in the industry, or openly open homosexual. That's what happened. That's probably what would happen. You know what I'm saying? Other politically incorrect shit he did. It was a '95 series with the Charlotte Hornets, first round, and at that time, Muggsy Bogues was an all-star. Okay, and there was a critical game that the Bulls won, and Jordan was guarding Bogues. And Jordan told Bogues, shoot it, you fucking midget, right? And Muggsy Bogues missed the shot. And supposedly that fucked up Muggsy Bogues' psyche so much, having Jordan say that to him, that Muggsy Bogues' career literally started, his production, it started diminishing. See, a lot of people don't understand something about basketball. Skills are one part of it. But if you don't have the psychological confidence in yourself, then you're not going to perform at the level. Confidence is a big part of it. If you don't have that confidence in your game, you're going to struggle. And that's how Jordan, in some ways, with some players, I guess that he felt had confidence issues. That's how he would attack them. Um, there was another incident where there was a guy named Rodney McCray, right? Now, Rodney McCray was on the bench in the 92-93 season for the Bulls, the last team from the first three-peat now. Now, Rodney McCray was an all-star level guy with the Houston Rockets, right? Rodney McCray would give you like 17 to 20 points a game. He could ball, he could play. But for whatever reason, man, Jordan didn't like Rodney McCray, right? And you would think that a guy like that would be a big benefit to the team, but for whatever reason, Jordan just fucking rode Rodney McCray the whole time. Like earlier on in practices, Jordan would just tell him he ain't shit, his game ain't shit, they ain't never won shit in Houston, just talking all types of shit to the Rodney McCray to the point where, Rodney McCray really didn't do much on the team. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was on the playoff roster that year for the Bulls. So it's like Jordan could be a very, very harsh person. Um, Now I know Ticket to know about this. Shout out Ticket TV. Subscribe to Ticket TV. One guy that was on the team earlier on that Jordan was a good friend of was Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley, the last year he played with Chicago, 87, 88, excuse me. Charles Oakley averaged a double-double, I think. I know he averaged 13 rebounds a game that year. Just missed winning the rebound title to Michael Cage by just a smidget. And the Bulls traded Charles Oakley, which Jordan fucking hated. That was his enforcer. That was his best friend on the team. The Bulls reasoned that, well, they didn't need Charles Oakley because they were developing Horace Grant. And while, to replace Charles Oakley, thinking that Grant had more upside, and that they would and also get an offensive player in Grant and Bill Cartwright. Jordan didn't like Bill Cartwright and made it a point to make him look bad. He would give, in practices especially, he would give Bill Cartwright very difficult passes that he couldn't handle to make him look bad. Plus the fact that Bill Cartwright had a history of being injured, he would call him Medical Bill, right? But Bill Cartwright, on having that shit with Jordan, he checked Mike. He checked Mike and told him basically, if you keep fucking with me, I'm gonna break your fucking legs. You're never gonna play basketball again, right? So Jordan pretty much kind of stopped fucking with him after that. All right. Jordan used to try to fuck with Robert Parrish when he was on the team. But Robert Parrish kind of put a check to it with Jordan. The thing about with Jordan was like a alpha male leader, and Jordan his style wasn't a big brother. His style was more like the intimidator. Okay, he needed to figure out if you could take it. If you could take it, then you would win his respect. If you couldn't take it, he wanted you to get the fuck up off the team. Okay? That's how he. That's how he pretty much went by it. It looks bad, but it's really because he trying to see if you can take that fucking shit. If you can go to war. If you had a tough mindset, like fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you a prime example I'm talking about. George Halas was a Chicago Bear. And I don't really talk about football too much, but I gotta bring it up. George Halas was the most competitive motherfucker in football, right? He was the owner of the Chicago Bears, right? And George Halas demanded players, if you were on that team, you had to fucking play. I mean, like, literally, like, a lot of the baby shit these motherfuckers do today, George Halas would have cut these motherfuckers instantly, right? But anyway, George Halas had a particular player, I think it was a linebacker, that he used to ride, you know what I'm saying, as soft. Now remember, we talking about the owner, not the coach. The owner, he used to ride this guy. I can't remember the story as verbatim as I used to, but he used to ride this player every fucking day as being soft. He was a soft. Why am I paying this fucking guy on my roster and he ain't doing shit? You're soft. So then one day, the fucking linebacker got so fucking mad. He didn't give a fuck who George Halas was, right? He kicked George Halas in the fucking balls, right? Literally. He kicked him in the fucking balls. And then I'm pretty sure right after that, he thought, what the fuck did I just do? So George Halas was bent over in fucking pain and agony. And when he fucking recovered, George Halas said, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Why you can't play like that? Why you can't bring it like that out there on the field? So it's like, some of these motherfuckers are psychotic, man. But that's just how their mindset is. Jordan, Kobe, Bill Russell, that's the only three that really come to my mind that's really like that to that point. They're like that. It's either win or get the fuck off my team. That's just how they are. And some people are not going to see it. That some people are just going to see it like, man, he's mean. Man, this guy's mean. Well, that's just how it's going to be. Some LeBron fans are going to think that Jordan was evil and all this type shit. One thing about another thing I remember reading about Mike, and it makes perfect sense. It was the relationship he had with Charles Barkley. And the thing about it, when you analyze that relationship, it was more like Charles Barkley thought they were friends more than Mike felt like they were friends, right? In hindsight. Now, they was known for being good friends and all this shit, right? Now, at that time, let's go back to like the 93 season when Charles Barkley was with the Phoenix Suns, right? At that time, Charles Barkley was probably the second best player in the NBA. Now, this is after Magic had retired due to HIV. Karl Malone was there, but I don't really think Karl surpassed Charles until about 96. Somewhere in the mid 90s, I think he kind of surpassed Charles. For that little window, I think Barkley was the second best player in the league. Right? And you can argue Barkley should have won MVP in 90 over Magic. But anyway, the point is, I think that Mike's friendship with Charles was kind of strategic. Okay? The same way, to an extent, that Bill Russell befriended Wilt. It was like, not that he was scared of him, but he kind of wanted a psychological edge over Charles. Okay? And one thing I read about during the 93 finals, okay? Now, game three, if you remember that series, the Bulls lost that game in triple overtime. Now, famously or infamously, before game four, Michael Jordan, I think, went on like a round of game of golf he had a game of golf with Charles Barkley, right? Before game four. And then he went out and bought Charles Barkley a $20,000 diamond earring. $20,000, right? So Charles Barkley, is looking at Mike like, damn, man, we having this series but we still maintain this great friendship and Mike just bought me this and da da da. Mike's a great guy. So Mike went back and told Johnny Bach, who was an assistant coach at the time with the Chicago Bulls, he told him this, right? And uh, Johnny Bach said something like, why the fuck would you buy this guy a $20,000 earring? And he said, well, $20,000 ain't really much to me. He said, I'm gonna guarantee you for the rest of this series, Charles Barkley is gonna pretty much take it easy on me. You know what I'm saying? He said, I got this guy thinking we're great friends, and I can't stand this fat fuck. Suppose that's what Johnny Bach's words were, which makes sense if you remember what Scottie Pippen said years later when after he left the Rockets. He said, I should have listened to Mike and never joined with Charles Barkley. He said, Charles Barkley's too lazy. He'll never win a championship because he's too lazy. You know what I'm saying? All I know is this. Game four, Jordan was extraordinarily aggressive in that game from the get-go. Offensively aggressive. He scored 55 points. And if you remember the last play of that one of the last plays of the game, Michael Jordan drove to the basket, and instead of Charles Barkley fouling him hard, he halfway fouled him. You see what I'm saying? And even Magic Johnson criticized him as a color analyst in that game. He said, if I was Charles Barkley, I would have just fouled him all the way instead of just halfway fouling him. So, because Michael was able to get the shot off, basically what I'm trying to say, which was ended up being the game winner pretty much. So yeah, Michael did a lot of shit, man, that if you weren't aware of Jordan and how he was, it looks bad. I remember he cheated like his college teammates' mothers in a game of checkers or something like that. He cheated her and shit. He's done a lot of shit, man, over the years. It's like crazy. Of course, he punched Steve Kerr in the face. So it's a lot of shit that if you look at it, like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, if Jordan is worried about this mystique that he's built up over the past 30 plus years, if he thinks that the documentary might change or alter it, um, maybe to some younger people, and to some people who just don't really like him in particular. It just adds fuel to their arsenal to use against him, or the extreme LeBron fans. They're just going to take some negatives and go with that. But I think for the most part, the net is going to be positive because it's pretty much just going to enhance whatever thing that he does. You could always say that it was a necessary evil because ultimately it worked. You know what I'm saying? They won a title that year, um, and they overcame some odds because there was some shit that year. So pretty much that's all I got to say, man. You know what I'm saying? Was Michael Jordan a saint? Fuck no. Was Michael Jordan a good person? Well, um, there's gonna be some people who'll tell you that he wasn't. I know that Horace Grant didn't like him, um, but he dealt with Mike, and Horace Grant will tell you that he's the greatest player of all time, even though he doesn't like him. Um, but I will say this though, People are complicated, and sometimes just being a good person doesn't equate to greatness or being able to do great things. Like, for instance, Jimmy Carter as a person is probably one of the most moral presidents we've had as a person. But at the same time, as a president, he was below average. He didn't get much accomplished. Lyndon Johnson as a person was a scumbag, vile. I mean, just as bad as you can get as a person. But he did accomplish much more as a president before Vietnam than almost any other president, especially for African Americans. Not saying he was a friend or whether he particularly liked black people, but he still accomplished a lot as a president, okay, when it came to domestic policy, okay? Basically, what I'm trying to equate that with Jordan is maybe Jordan's not a great person, but as a basketball player, his legacy and influence cannot be denied. Straight up. LeBron James is a great player, but I think after people watch this series, you're going to see a definite difference in the two. Okay? I'm going to finish with this. I can never envision Michael Jordan saying, I have nothing left to accomplish, which is something LeBron said a couple of years ago, which when I first heard that, I'm like, yeah, this guy's not Jordan. Yeah, this guy's not Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this guy's not uh, Bill Russell. I can't imagine those guys saying, I have nothing left to accomplish. Tell me what you guys think.